Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone out in YouTube world? I'm Dr. Priscilla. I'm the founder of Speak Excellent English, and I would like to invite you to follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the bell so that you will know when I'm going live. In addition, I'd like to invite you to join my Facebook group. It is Speak Excellent English Facebook. No, I believe it's Speak Excellent English Talking Group, and there's a Speak Excellent English Facebook page. So take a moment and join those, or for sure, join both of those Facebook pages, the Facebook page and the Facebook group at the end of this session. And finally, please subscribe to this channel, to my YouTube channel, and click the bell so that you will know when I'm going live. While I'm waiting for some participants to join me, I'd like to tell you what I'm going to do. I'll start out by reading something tonight. It is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is winter and it is dark. So today I'm going to read from Breaking News English. Breaking News English. I'm going to read the lesson. I did choose a lesson earlier. And the lesson that I chose is Restaurants Forced to Give All Tips to Staff. I'll put that link in the chat box so that if someone joins and would like to read with me, that link will be there. Let's see. There's the link. Now I want to put it in the chat box, but I don't see the chat box. Where is that chat box? Just bear with me. I'll continue to talk while I look for the chat box. It's not there. And there it is. Found it. Well, I found YouTube. Now I am looking for the chat box. Looks like my eyes are just darting all over the place. There it is. Chat. So here I'll put in the chat box the link. Control V. Control V. Is it not copying? Wow. I have to go back out again and get the link. Here's the link. Control C. And go back to live. Control V. There. There is the link. This is where I am reading from. It is Breaking News English. So it begins. Restaurants forced to give all tips to staff. This article is from October 4th, 2018, from Breaking News English. So I'm curious to know, in your country, do restaurants allow the waitress or the waiter to keep the tips or collect tips? Some countries do not do tips, but we do tips here in the US because the people are paid, I think, maybe just a little above minimum wage, but they count and depend on the tips. So if you're planning to come to the States and you're eating at a restaurant, especially a fancy restaurant, the expectation is you will tip. All right. Now, let's go on to the reading. Restaurants in the UK will soon have to give all tips to their staff. The UK Prime Minister, Theresa May, announced new plans that will make it illegal for restaurants to keep the tips given by customers. For decades, many restaurants have kept most of the tips customers add to their credit card payments or the money customers put in tip jars. Some restaurants use the tips as part of a worker's pay. Many people in England are angry about this. Restaurant workers are among the lowest paid staff in Britain, and many of them rely on tips to survive. The food and drink industry in the UK is huge. There are over 150,000 hotels, bars, and restaurants in the UK. These employ about 2 million people. That is paragraph 1 of the article. If we were in a live session, I would actually ask you to summarize what was read. I would ask you if you understood the vocabulary and if you had questions. Since there isn't anyone participating at this moment, I will continue to read. Many waiting staff in the UK are happy that the new law is coming in. They said they were fed up with international chain restaurants keeping the money that was meant for waiters. The staff also said restaurant managers often use the tips to help pay for the chefs and kitchen staff. Workers at the TGI Fridays restaurant chain went on strike earlier this year because of low pay. Prime Minister May said the new law would make sure restaurant workers are treated fairly. She said, "That's why we will introduce tough new legislation to ensure that workers get to keep all of their tips." A spokeswoman for the restaurant industry said a new law was unnecessary because the industry makes sure working conditions are fair. That was paragraph 2. We would talk about paragraph 2 in summary form. Then we would combine the 2 paragraphs and talk about the paragraphs. In this article, we have questions to test our comprehension. True, false. Restaurants all over the world must now give all tips to their staff. Well, I'm not sure if it said all over the world, but it did say the UK. So I would say that that answer is false because it didn't say all over the world the restaurants had to do this. Number 2, a new law may make it illegal for restaurants to keep tips. Now that is true. That new law is going to be in the UK. 3, some restaurants pay workers using the tips customers give. According to this article, that is true. Next question. Around 2 million people work in hotels, bars, and restaurants in the UK. So we know that it is talking about the UK, so that is true. It did say in the article that many people worked. Many waiting staff in the UK are very unhappy about the new law. I believe this is false. The waiting staff are very pleased that there will be an increase by way of getting tips. Next question. Workers at all UK restaurants went on strike last year over low pay. You want to be careful when it says all, because it wasn't all, it was TGIF Friday that went on strike. And the next question, the UK's leader said the new law will mean workers are treated fairly. That is the intent, to treat the staff fairly. So I believe that one is true. And the last one, an industry spokeswoman said conditions in restaurants are unfair. There again, we can't talk about all restaurants, so that answer would be false. We were only talking about the restaurants in the UK. Now let's look at the synonym match. This is very important because this is how you build your vocabulary. There are 10 vocabulary words: staff, illegal, money, angry, huge, fed up, often, fairly, ensure, and unnecessary. What I would now ask you to do as you practice your conversational English is to try to use the synonym words that are listed and talk about the article. So if I look at these words and talk about the article, I'll try to use the 10 words, and you, as you listen, you can determine if you understand what each of these words actually mean. Staff, illegal, money, angry, huge, fed up, often, fairly, ensure, and unnecessary. There are some restaurants in the UK that are treating their staff in an irresponsible manner. Laws are being passed in the UK to make it illegal for restaurants to withhold money from the waiting staff or the waitress. Some of the companies may become angry because it can cut into a huge amount of their profits, but the employees are fed up with not receiving more than minimum wage, which is often the case when they are not represented fairly. So this new law is to ensure that all employees in the UK in restaurants are treated fairly. This will make it unnecessary for the restaurant to maintain or hold the tips. All right, so I did use all 10 of the words. Then we would look at a discussion. We'd have a discussion about several topics. And I could ask, what do you think of tipping? In my opinion, tipping is fine because in the US, the waiters or waitresses, they make very little money, income. Some get just above minimum wage and some get just minimum wage. Next question. Why don't nurses, doctors, and teachers get tips? That's a great question. I would imagine that nurses, doctors, and teachers are not being compensated with tips because the state believes that the paycheck that they get, that they receive, is sufficient. What do you think of restaurants keeping customers' tips? My opinion of restaurants keeping customers' tips is that they should not do this. They should not keep the tips. For example, if I left a tip for a particular host or hostess, I wanted to be assured that that person received the tip. I have no idea of another person's work ethic. I just know how the host or hostess treated me, and that was what I was trying to reward. When have you given people a tip? I usually give people a tip when I go to a restaurant. Would you like to work in the food and drink industry? No, not really. The reason I would prefer not to work in the food and drink industry is because the work is fast-paced and you stand a lot. Why are restaurant staff so low paid? Perhaps the staff is paid a low wage because it doesn't require much intellectual ability to bring someone their food. What do you think of tipping? Well, that question was already asked, but I'll answer it again. I think it is an appropriate and expected behavior for individuals in the United States. All right. So now we've had reading, we've had vocabulary, and we talked about the summary of the work as well as the true-false questions. I want to say thank you so much for listening to this replay. If you'll leave comments or feedback, That would be fantastic. Also, if you would like to have a lesson with me in English, I would be delighted to work with you. My name is Dr. Priscilla, the founder of Speak Excellent English, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye for now.